Hello and welcome to episode 35 of Retro Recall the PS1 Chronicles, a show where we play and rank every PlayStation game ever created. My name is Jimmy, and as always, I'm here with Mike.
Hello.
So a little bit of an interesting concept this week. I had the idea of doing kart racers for a while, but outside of like a Crash Team Racing or some of the other ones I would imagine, I don't know that a whole episode would be able to be made from Chocobo Racing or Lego Racers.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's Crash Team Racing has so many more elements to it that we can stretch out over an episode. It's an interesting concept that because we've done Tony Hawk 1 and 2, we've done Parappa and Jammer. This is the first time we're doing two completely different games that just fall into the same category. So I'm excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be plenty of genres where we do this with too. Like, honestly, I was surprised last week we did Elemental Gearbolt all in one episode.
I was shocked because I thought we had maybe 10 minutes of conversation with that episode. So the fact that we stretched it out without really feeling forced was impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we don't really do that where we force it, because you go back to some of our earlier episodes where Expendable or Hot Shots Golf, they're like 30 minutes because we're just like, I don't even know what to say anymore.
Yeah,
what are we going to talk about?
We're out.
But yeah, I mean, I like kart racers. Honestly, I love Crash Team Racing. Obviously, love Mario Kart. Who doesn't like Mario Kart?
Yep. Do you remember what your first kart racer ever was that you played?
Has to be Mario Kart 64, I would think.
Okay. Oddly enough, I think mine was Crash Team Racing.
I just have memories of going over like family, like my cousin's house or something, or a friend's house maybe. I don't know. And they had an N64 with Mario Kart. Those games you could play with 4 people, whereas like Crash Team Racing, it's only 2 people unless you buy the multi-tap, which I didn't know a single person that owned that.
I don't think I did either.
But yeah, I mean, I actually played Lego Racers as a kid a ton on my PC.
Oh, okay. There's pieces about that game that I vaguely remember, but I'm like, I don't remember ever owning this game. So I think I've played it before, but I don't know why or when.
The only strong memories I would say that I have are of the building of the cars and of the music.
I was just about to say the car building is the only thing that really stuck out a little bit, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, the game is definitely not what I remember. But yeah, I guess might as well just hop into it. We got a lot to cover today. Chocobo Racing was released on August 12th, 1999, and it was developed and published by Square. So this is the second Chocobo game taking place after Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly enough, there's a trailer for Mystery Dungeon 2 in the game.
Yeah, I saw. Did you watch it?
I did.
It looks like almost identical to the first one, but it looks like they just added some more stuff.
Yeah, it looks like more story and stuff like that, which that game definitely did need. So I'm excited to play that eventually because I thought the first one was just okay.
Yeah. And actually, that brings us to a good point. The reason why, how we did this, you picked a game, I picked a game for a kart racer. I picked Chocobo specifically because we did Chocobo's Dungeon. I'm like, well, we did that as like an offshoot game with the Chocobo. Why not do a second one? And so we have 2 of them, keeping the theme of it.
No, I mean, it's good logic. I almost picked Toy Story Racer. I was going between Lego Racer and that one, but I figured Lego Racer at least has some interesting things in it. So that was my logic for picking it.
Yeah, I get that. And it's very cool too that going into this game, seeing all the characters and recognizing them from Chocobo Dungeon, like, oh, okay, now I understand this. Because I'd never played the Final Fantasy games. So I don't know if you also see those characters in those, but it's just cool to see those side-by-side comparisons.
Interestingly enough, I've only played newer Final Fantasy games, so I've never played any of the stuff that this is pulling from.
Okay.
But obviously I know Chocobo and Moogles in general from Final Fantasy, so.
Right. Well, I'm excited to get to that finally on the show one day.
Yeah, Kyle's been on me about whenever you play Final Fantasy, I'm going to be on that episode. So
he wants to be on every episode.
Just every episode of the game that he loves.
I know.
He doesn't want to play any of the shit tier games like we do.
So jumping into the game, I mean, there's a lot of options here. What was the first thing you did?
So just in general, what I did was I beat the story mode and I did one Grand Prix.
So you immediately just jumped right into the story mode.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, whenever I brought up the game, it's clear that the story mode is what you're supposed to play first. I mean, that's what I do in any game. It's like I'm imagining that that is what is intended because this ended up being true, but that's where you unlock stuff.
Yeah. I did it a bit different. The very first thing I did, I went into time trial mode and I tested every single driver. There's not many. There's 7 people that you can pick from. And I was just like doing an apples to apples comparison on the basic test track of who is the fastest, who has the best handling, just so I had that information for later. And then that took about a half hour to get through everyone. And then I went into story mode after that.
That's a good idea. I typically, in any game I've ever played, will never touch the time trials. So I understand why you did it, but like I just ignore it.
It's the same with like Mario Kart. In Mario Kart, they give you at least the stats of here's the handling and all this stuff. You don't get that in this game. So looking through the manual, I just figured, okay, it's best to just go in and test out these people. And I don't think there's really much difference between all the racers. Like there's subtle differences here and there.
I tried a few different characters. I tried the Chocobo, the Moogle, the rock guy you get pretty early on, and then I tried the white mage. And I found that the only real difference I noticed was that the heavy characters control a little heavier, but like overall, I didn't really notice anything. I went with the white mage eventually just because I did really well when I was playing as her. I don't know if that was just me getting better at the game.
I think for my testing, I think she was pretty high up in the speed. I went with the black magician. He was the fastest that I found. And the golem, the rock guy, he was the second fastest from my testing. So I know it was weird. I didn't expect him to be the second fastest, but...
Well, we'll get into this with Lego Racers too, but I don't know if it's just in my head, but I just think of Mario Kart with like Bowser and Donkey Kong being slower.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if like in either of these games, when you have a bigger racer or a bigger car or whatever, if it controls slower or if I'm just like convincing myself of that.
I thought the same exact thing, but yeah, per all my times, the bigger characters got within the top 5 of the fastest characters. So,
I mean, that's cool that they didn't go with the stereotypes, but it is a little lame that they don't all control at least a little bit differently. Because like with Mario Kart, I don't know that there's a significant difference, but there is a difference.
Yeah. Especially when you do the different vehicles and stuff, you can really tell when going around a corner if something's different.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's like the later ones, but yeah.
True. This one, it just felt like every character controlled the same. It never felt different enough. The most is just the speed.
That makes sense. So what was your opinion on the gameplay then? Just to hop right into that. I mean, I thought the game controlled really well.
The game controlled really well. For anyone who's never heard of this game or seen this game, just imagine Mario Kart. I felt like this took what Mario Kart did and just put the Final Fantasy characters into them.
I mean, that's what every kart racer essentially is. So
more or less, yeah. It's smooth. It looks good graphically. It, like you said earlier, controls nicely. I didn't notice any hiccups with the gameplay.
You mean like frame rate and stuff wise? Is that what you're kind of...
Yeah, like jittering or like just having trouble keeping up.
The only thing I noticed with that, which was a little weird, was in the menus sometimes I noticed some slowdown and the music would like glitch a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that too. And it also... This was a huge frustration with this game, is the amount of, hey, do you want to load? Or, hey, do you want to save? Okay, now you're saving. Hey, do you want to save this? Oh, this changed. Do you want to save? Oh, by the way, do you want to override the save? I'm like, stop with the fucking save menus. There's too many of them.
I don't know why you need to save so much in this game. I get it in the story mode because you want to save your progress, but at the same time, the whole story mode's like under an hour and a half.
Yeah, I think... Is that how long it took you to beat the story mode?
Yeah, I would say around that.
Yeah, mine was, I want to say is like an hour 10, maybe, hour 15. I mean, jumping into the story mode, I love the presentation of how we are introduced to the characters, how they tell the story.
Oh, dude, I loved it. The whole pop-up book aesthetic, like, really made it have that personality that it would have been missing if it didn't have that.
Mm-hmm. It also kind of reminds me, I'm going to compare it to Mario again, but Paper Mario, it had that feel to it.
Yeah, I thought it was cool that they did like nice introductions for each character. They had weird fourth wall breaks a bunch of times, which I'm a fan of, honestly.
Yeah. In the beginning, the Moogle is saying like, oh, I'm going to become the hero of this game, and they're going to change the name of the game to Moogle racing or something like that.
Also, what's this thing with the Moogle being an asshole in both games?
I was going to ask you that is this just a thing that even in the Final Fantasy games, they're assholes? Because that's what it sounds like.
The only time I ever remember encountering them was in Final Fantasy 16, but that was such a cameo essentially, not like a main role. So I don't know, but why do they have to take this cute little mascot and just make him a dick?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand it.
So all he cares about is just money and wanting to become powerful and rich. And that's carries over to this game too.
So weird. I mean, it's cool that they want to make unique characters, but I don't know if that was the right one to choose for that. You know?
I get that completely. And with the story mode, it's pretty much you have this blue gem or something, blue crystal.
Mm-hmm.
And you are sent off on a quest to go find other blue crystals. And then each character you run into, each chapter is a new character. You meet them, they have a blue crystal, and you have to beat them for them to join your team. And that's more or less the entire story.
Yeah, it seems like they use the blue crystals as a way to justify each character's unique power.
Yeah, which I thought each character having a unique ability is a great addition to a kart racer.
Yeah, so both regular power-ups and this other thing exists. So there's just the regular Mario Kart power-ups, which we can get into each one in a minute, but then there's also each character has a unique specific ability, but you can also equip them to any character you want anyway.
Yes, yeah. And in the beginning, you only have dash, which just makes your character go fast, but after you beat someone, you gain their ability that you can choose from in the main menu.
I just used dash the whole time.
100% the entire time. Never found a need for anything else.
I tried a few of them as I unlocked them, but then I just felt no need to. There's cool things in there, but at the end of the day, there's no reason to use them.
Nope. You just use the dash, and every time you hear that little sound effect that your meter filled up, which is an automatic timer, you can't do anything to speed it up that I know of. You hear that little jingle, and then you push the button to speed off and go away.
What I would typically do is just save it for when I got hit by some bullshit and then immediately pop it.
Ah, okay. Well, and that's the thing is with the combination of Dash and the Black Magician, since he was already the fastest I found, I was unstoppable. Once I unlocked the Black Magician and played as him, I cruised through the rest of the story mode.
Honestly, I only had to restart a race like a few times, period.
I was going to ask, like, did you primarily beat the levels in one attempt, and then there's just a few that took 2 attempts, or was there any that took more than 2?
I can't say that I specifically remember, but there were a few times that it took me 2 or 3, but
Okay.
overall, I didn't really have, like, there was no, like, this one made me angry, or like this one I was stuck on for a half an hour. Like, there was none of that.
Oh, no, not at all. The first ones that I had to redo and do a second time were levels 3 and 5. That's the rock golem, and I forget what 5 was.
The only one that I have written down that took me a while was the Haunted Mansion level. I think that's the Black Magician's level.
That's level 5 then, because that was mine too. And it wasn't just because of like doing bad, it's just learning the level. And it's just, you don't know where to go, or you get stuck on something, and then so you have to redo it, and now you know, okay, don't do this thing that I kept doing. And then it was easier the second time around.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really have too much trouble. It's literally just learning the map, because there's a lot of like random sharp turns sometimes, or like one thing that does annoy me is certain levels you can fall off of, and the other ones you can't, even though it looks like you should be able to.
Yeah. There's a later level. I think it was the one with the white mage when it's up in the sky. I was like sweating on the one section of the map because it looks like you can easily fall off. And then one time I accidentally drift a little too far and go off, but I bounce off the invisible wall. I'm like, oh, this was easy the entire time.
Yeah, well, then there's the one that's like the mines or whatever. It's like a cave, and you can just fall off constantly.
Yep. That, and then like the very final level where you're just nonstop falling off the map if you're not paying attention.
Honestly, though, I found that even if I fell off, I still was able to catch back up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
This is not like one of those games where like once you're in the back, you're just like done for.
It's one of those things of just the repercussions of getting hit with a weapon or falling out the map is extreme. Like it takes a long time to reset. But it's just like with Mario Kart too, where Mario Kart, you'll be bouncing around on the map because you got hit with something, but it's not impossible to catch back up to the group.
Yeah, I mean, with that, like we both said we use the boost ability the most. And to go even farther, the only real power up I tried to get was the boost.
Yep. Yeah, there was. Well, and okay, so we should dig into this a little bit more. Like we said, every single person has a different ability. What's the worst ability you encountered on an opponent?
You mean like annoying towards me?
Yep.
I want to say that the final one, the dragon guy, has that power up that just stops everybody.
Is that the power up, or that was his power up? Okay. Yep. That was quite frustrating. Mine was the goblin.
Oh yeah, where he steals your power ups.
Yep. And so if you're in first, you have your power up for about 2 seconds, and then he takes it every single time.
Yeah, it's a cool idea in theory, but I would never want to use it myself because I'd rather just have the boost, which I pop immediately most of the time anyway.
Mm-hmm. And then it's nice because your power ups stack. So as long as you get 3 of the same kind, you get this mega power up thing.
That will be a common theme today.
Yeah. And it's nice because when you go into each level, you meet the character and then they explain what the next power up you're finding is. So it's not like they give you all the power ups at one time. It's, hey, here's dash, and then after dash is something else. I can't remember. And then after that, here's lightning, and then all that stuff. So they kind of really ease you into all the different things at one time.
Yeah, we didn't mention it earlier, but I would say the story mode is essentially a really good tutorial for this game.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes through every aspect of the game.
So it's one of those things of, like, we'll take the dash, for example, because we keep talking about it. Dash will give you a short boost if you have 2 stones. Then that gives you a little bit bigger one, and then 3 ones, like, you shoot down the course, more or less.
I honestly never got the 3s. Like, I would never get enough to do that because I was more focused on racing than getting a specific power up. So I'd always just get whatever.
Yeah, it's pretty much, here's what I got. If it's like an ice one, I'll drop the ice immediately before the stupid goblin steals it from me. Aside from that, I just would either use them immediately. Because, like, if you have the fire one, but you're in first and no one's catching up to you, then there's no point in holding on to it.
And you can't shoot anything backwards either.
I was going to ask if you tried, because I didn't. And I thought maybe if you look behind you when you shoot, maybe it will go backwards.
I didn't try that, but I did try like Mario Kart where you just hold down while you do it, and that did not work.
Yeah. But it's nice too because there's a stone, and these power-ups are called magic stones, by the way.
Yeah.
There's a stone specifically for speed. So if you have the speed stones plus your speed ability, you essentially just have double speed at that point. So once one runs out, you can toggle right to the next one. And if you're lucky enough and you keep collecting them, you can toggle back and forth infinitely through the entire map.
Yeah, and you have to really save them because there's so many different power-ups and character abilities that just destroy you randomly.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty annoying, but I get it. It's what kart racers are. This one felt a little more egregious than Mario Kart to me.
In terms of like the effects of when something happens to you?
Yeah, like for example, there's the one that like you spin around, then it hits you, then you're stopped for a second. You have to like turn back around.
That hit me once, and I was very confused as to what even happened because backing up is not easy in this game.
When that happens, you're immediately just in the back of the pack.
Yep.
Like, because there's that one. There's the one that's the power up death, which gives you a timer. And if it goes to 0, then you just take a bunch of damage and sit there for a second.
Yeah, and the only way to get rid of it is to bump into another player. And then I think it's called like curse or something.
But when you're in first, you can't do that. So you just suffer.
Oh, yeah. And there's so many times I'm just cruising along in the front of the pack, and then I get that skull above my head. I'm like, all right, well, I need to hurry up and find a boost for whenever this thing triggers, and then I can take off again.
Yeah, I thought those just took a little too long to recover. I mean, like we said, this game is not that hard. So at the end of the day, you're mostly fine as long as you're driving well. But I just think it's a little too much.
Yeah, I thought the same exact thing when it came to the falling off the map.
Absolutely.
Not only does it fade to black and then you get picked up and brought over, then you can't even go still. Like Sid comes over and starts fixing your car like for a few more seconds. So you waste a lot of time if you fall off the map.
No, and it's just a little frustrating. And especially whenever you get into the later races in the story mode where it is a full race with every character.
Mm-hmm.
It's just nonstop bullshit.
Oh, yeah. Just like Mario Kart, though, if you time it perfectly, you can get that boost off the start.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever get that or figure out the timing?
I got it like once or twice ever.
Mm-hmm. I could never figure out the timing. I never knew what I did right the first few times I do it. And I kept trying to recreate that and it never happened again. So I don't know what it is.
Well, when I first started playing, I was trying it like Mario Kart. Then I was trying it how Lego Racers is, where you have to hit it right when the timer's done.
Yeah.
And neither of those really worked. So I just kind of gave up on it. And then at the end, when I was playing today, it happened. And I was like, what did I do? How did I do that?
I felt the same way. Like the times I got it, it felt like I hit the gas the exact time the race started. But then other times I did that, it didn't happen. So I'm like, there's a component here I'm missing, and I can't figure out what it is.
I truly have no idea. But like we say, this game is not hard. It doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean?
No, it really doesn't.
It's not like I was like, man, I lost the race because I didn't get that.
But like we said, the story's not too much. You just go through each character. What I do like though is when you get by the final guy, there's then one more bonus level. And it took me by surprise. I was like, oh, cool. I'm finally done. Get to just maybe mess around in Grand Prix or something. It's like, wait, the story's still going. What's going on?
Yeah. I thought it was a cool way to wrap it up and a cool way to do the story. It actually made it feel like a story towards the end and not just like a random bunch of characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they wrap it all up and then you get the final boss guy available in the menus then, which is really cool. That is like, oh, here's a little trophy for you. Now you have an extra playable character.
Yeah, and also after you beat it, you get to create a racer, essentially, which I thought was strange because I didn't even know this game had that. But I guess they assign you your ability points based on how you did throughout the story mode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm assuming it's just how many times you failed, right?
I don't. What was your number? Like, how many points did you get to use?
I want to say it was like 60 something, 68.
Okay. I think mine was like 72 or something, like just barely a little bit more than what you had.
It probably just is like how many times you had to restart or how many times, like, it would have to, that's the only stat in the game. It's not like they give you ratings. So I would imagine it would have to be that.
Probably. Or there could be minor stuff of how many items did you use and how many people did you hit? How many times did you fall off the map? Could be a lot of stuff.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But I did that and then I just didn't do anything with it.
Oh, okay. What did you just randomly put your points to some attributes and not really care about it?
I mean, I try to make it how I would always make a racing character in a game if I have a choice. But I will say when I went back to play today, I forgot about that and I didn't use it in Grand Prix. So
who did you customize?
Just a Chocobo.
Oh, you did Chocobo. Okay. I customized the Black Magician and I maxed out the top speed. I almost maxed out the acceleration and then like kind of messed with the other stuff. Didn't realize that maxing out your top speed, you hit the speeds of using the dash.
Wow.
So I even tried it using the dash and the dash does nothing because you can't go faster than like 120 something.
I don't know if that's good or not.
It's broken. So I went into Grand Prix after doing story mode and I was almost lapping people after 3 laps because I had a permanent dash ability at all times.
I mean, that's kind of sick that you could do that, but I don't know. I guess it's your reward for beating story mode because you can't just go edit a character again. You have to beat story mode again, right?
Yeah. And I don't know if you can edit the character once you're done. I think you can then make a second one.
Okay.
Maybe. But I can only imagine the arguments with friends. Like if you're playing this and they're like, you're not allowed to use your custom character because you go too fast.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would be so pissed off if I was going at someone and they're just lapping me. Like, yeah.
And that was the time I started using the Goblin's steal ability because the dash was doing me no favors anymore. So I just would take people's abilities.
Yeah. I feel like another one that would be good to use in that scenario would be the one where you're like immune to effects for like a few seconds or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's called like protection or something, but like just being able to stay so far ahead of the pack because you don't have to boost and then just never being able to be hit with stuff. That'd be pretty sick.
Yeah. There's a lot to this game that I feel is like direct ripoffs to Mario Kart. I don't know if you would agree.
I mean, like by design, Mario Kart, Super Mario Kart was the first kart racer, right?
Yeah.
So all of these games are just derivative of that. I just mean there's no real way to do a kart racer differently.
The way I'm talking about it though is like the level that we are watching on this stream right now is the castle level, which looks like it's straight from Mario Kart.
That's fair.
Design wise, aesthetic wise, there's nothing different that like distinguishes this to a Chocobo game from Mario Kart.
I don't know if this is correct, but I'm pretty sure every level is based on something from Final Fantasy.
Oh, that actually would make a lot of sense.
I know the music is, so I'm assuming each level is probably something related to a Final Fantasy game.
Okay, that makes more sense. But I don't know. I get what you're saying, and it's weird to bring it up because yeah, everyone's just trying to go from this one idea, and how many different ideas could you really come up with? I just feel like with the castle level, with that underground cave level with the lava, there could have been something that like made it different that didn't look so Mario.
No, I agree with you. I think that they could have done a little more with the courses to make them more unique. That's for sure. And even if you want to go farther, it's like none of the characters really stand out that much to me. They're all just enemies and random things from Final Fantasy. I feel like they should have just made a proper Final Fantasy racing game and just had like characters from the games over what they did.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But at this time, they were clearly trying to make Chocobo spin-offs a thing and make it like a Pikachu or Yoshi or something. So can't blame them.
No. I completely get where they're coming from. Speaking of music, I feel like there's 2 or 3 songs in the entire game.
Yeah, I mean, I thought all the racing was like fine. The racing. I thought all the music was like fine. Like, I didn't really have a specific thought about it. You know what I mean?
Just hearing that Chocobo's theme song over and over and over again through everything, it's just like, oh, I'm getting tired of hearing the same rhythm over and over again.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't hate the songs in the tracks, but like all the rest of them were just kind of annoying to me.
Yeah, like that little girl one.
Mm-hmm.
That almost like is kind of from Nier Automata. There's a similar song just like that with like a little girl singing over top of it.
That's true. I did want to say I looked it up and you can unlock Cloud in this game from Final Fantasy VII.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
How?
I don't know, but like I just went on YouTube and I was like, holy shit.
I wonder if that's a mod.
How would it be a mod?
I don't know.
From PS1?
If it's like a PC emulated.
I will Google it while you talk.
Okay. I mean, if that's the case, that would be really cool. That there's even another secret character that you had to unlock. I would feel like maybe it's getting a really good score in the time attack or like something within the smaller games that you would have to do.
So there are a bunch of unlockable characters here.
Oh.
Yeah. And what you have to do is beat the story mode over and over again.
That was going to be my next guess.
And then it says like for Cloud, it says beat story mode 5 times, then hold R1 on the Chocobo at the character select screen.
And then does it just increase from there? So then it's like 10 times and then 15 times?
5, 8, 3, 6, 10 times. You can unlock a mirror mode. You can unlock more courses. So there's a lot of stuff to unlock here. You just have to keep playing the story mode though, which I don't like.
I don't like that, but that does really change everything I thought about this game. Like a big complaint of mine was the lack of levels, and now hearing that there's more levels you can choose from, that's amazing.
Yeah, it looks like if you place first in Grand Prix, you can unlock more stuff that way too.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But honestly, I don't know that I could bring myself to play that story mode 10 times.
Yeah, it's not difficult enough to actually be a challenge, at least from what I found.
I don't know if you can skip the story sequences. I didn't try because I wanted to see them, obviously. But if you can't skip them, I would not do that.
Yeah, I was afraid to push anything during those sequences. That is true, though. That'd be a lot of time wasted.
I just don't like the idea of just doing the same thing over and over again. At least if it was like beat Grand Prix 10 times, I would at least get that because you can get better at the game.
Mm-hmm.
But to have to start story mode over and over again each time, it's just annoying.
I completely get that.
But yeah, I think my score just went up by a tiny bit by knowing all that. That's for sure.
I think so too. I would agree.
But yeah, I mean, I'm just about out of notes here. We've kind of talked about this game a lot longer than I thought we would. So
yeah, I feel like there's something else I wanted to say. I can't remember what that is now, but
yeah, I probably fucked you all up by bringing up the character thing.
yeah, I'm like now impressed with this and want to know more.
Well, all right. So Chocobo Racing got mostly middle of the road scores. I picked a few from the different ends of the spectrum, but I feel like it was mostly seen, from what I could tell, as a Mario Kart clone, like we've talked about. It's to be expected, I think, but I don't know. I didn't think this was a bad game, but you'll see some other people did in a second here. German magazine Mega Fun gave it a 68 out of 100, and they said, as virtuoso as Square's role-playing games are, their first racer was rather average. Neither the number of routes nor their design can inspire. In addition, there is a mediocre driving experience that only offers a minimum of room for experimenting. This is Google Translate, by the way.
I figured, yeah.
yeah. Just throwing that out there as I read that, because I thought I was wrong. Where was I? As cool drifting technology is missing or not implemented well.
And that's actually, so thank you for that. That review just helped me say what I was going to talk about. How often did you use the drifting?
All the time.
Really? The only time I've ever used the drifting was maybe on the tight, like the one level with the canyon with the super high walls.
Yeah.
And you have to just constantly mash it's not like Mario Kart where you can hold it, because if you hold for too long, you spin out. It's more like you're just
tapping it.
Yeah, tapping it to speed around the corners, which maybe that was their intended use for it. I was hoping it was more like a Mario Kart where you can slide longer.
I absolutely love the actual power sliding. Like, Diddy Kong Racing, Crash Team Racing both have that as well. Those are more like, you don't feel like you're losing momentum, or like when you're doing this tap drifting, it's just doesn't feel right. Especially when you're boosting and it's so fast.
Yep.
Just feels like you're just messing it up. Might as well just hit the wall,
Oh, and we didn't talk about this. You can also change your buttons, which we talked about with Magic Carpet. You can remap on here, which is nice.
That's cool.
I contemplated changing the brake to one of the triggers because they're not used at all in this game. So I thought if I could constantly just use the trigger to quickly get around these turns, that might be easier than trying to use my base of my thumb to hurry up and quickly hit the X button.
Yeah, I did think it was weird that square was go and not X, but
I do like the positioning though, because of how much you have to tap it. It makes it a lot nicer.
Mm-hmm.
But I do agree with this review. The number of routes isn't great. Like there's no secret passages that I found.
Me either now. So way more harsh. GameSpot gave it a 4.4 out of 10.
Oh.
And they said, Chocobo racing is as boring as it gets. At no point during this game do you really feel compelled to keep racing. You've done this all before, and usually you've done it better than this. The graphics are a second-generation blend of 3D backgrounds and 2D sprites, and the characters are not nearly as well animated or good-looking as those in Mario Kart 64.
I'm not agreeing with this guy at all.
I love Mario Kart 64, but it does not look good.
Honestly, the 2D sprites on the 3D map, I like. I think it looks clean, and it doesn't look cheesy at all.
Yeah, if you're going to go the whole 2D and 3D, I prefer this to what Mario 64 did. This, at least to me, looks nicer.
Mm-hmm.
Do I wish it was full 3D? Yes. But at the end of the day, it still looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, it looks good. Nothing's terrible. You could have really, really bad backgrounds, kind of like the some of the other, say for Tomb Raider, how bad the 3D stuff was. Imagine the Tomb Raider graphics with backgrounds on this. It would look horrendous.
Oh, dude, it would look rough.
The thing that they kept it minimal, and I appreciate it for that. I think it looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, with a kart racer too, you want it to be running fast, and I think that's why they did that.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But that brings us to our scores. My range was about a 6.5 to a 7.
Okay.
It's kind of where I was at. I think it's a good kart racer. It's not an amazing game, but it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has plenty of replay value now that I've seen that. All the characters and stuff you can unlock. So I think I'm going to go with a 7. I think it's honestly better than Chocobo's Dungeon.
Yeah. Being a whole mascot thing, I agree. Chocobo's Dungeon had that fun in the beginning, but kind of lost it after a while. This kind of the same. It has a lot of fun, but then, like you said, to have to do that all again for characters, you could if you had the dedication. That's cool. My range was also 6.5 to 7. Hilarious. And after the whole level thing and the character thing, I'm also going with a 7. That was a great improvement to hear.
Well, all right. So that puts our average at a 7. And that's going to put it up against Armored Core.
I'm going to let you just say this, and I'm not even going to say anything because I didn't play Armored Core correctly. And I don't think I have a say in this at all.
Well, then you know what to do. We don't even have to say
Okay. This will be
it.
number 11 after Armored Core.
Yeah, I loved Armored Core. I mean, I know it wasn't great, but I would feel weird putting this above it. That's for sure.
I get that. And I think if I actually played it correctly, I'd have more of a say. I didn't, so I will trust you on that one.
All right. Well, we're already running longer than I thought we would. So let's take a second here and then we'll hop into Lego Racers. Lego Racers was released for the PlayStation on December 17th, 1999. It was developed by High Voltage Media and published by Lego themselves.
Mm-hmm. All right, so
Yeah, there actually is a surprising amount of things in common between both of these games.
yeah, the obvious one is with the power-ups. You can stack those as well.
Yeah, so this game has, way less power-ups.
Way
I think
less.
there's 5, 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Green, blue, red, yellow.
Yes. Red is your fireable, like a cannon. That's the first one. Blue is your shield. Yellow is something you put onto the track. And green is your boost.
And then you can get the white bricks to power it up. You can power everything up 3 times.
So the biggest difference immediately with this system in Chocobo, if you have 3 different magic stones, or if you just have one completely filled up, you're not allowed to pick up anything else. In this game, if you have a red one and then you run into a blue one, you now have a blue one. And if you really want that green one, but then you run into a yellow one, well, now you just now have a yellow one and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, and you really want that green one.
Yes, we're going to get into that.
But yeah, so like I said, I have history with this game. So jumping in, the opening cutscene's really good. Looks good. I was like, cool, this is like not bad.
Yeah. And it's hard to jump into this one. The menus are minimal. I think that's the best way to explain this whole game is minimal.
This is a game that is clearly aimed at children.
Yes, 100% it is.
I don't know if you went into the options menu. It says something like, your editing options, you should talk to your parents or something like that.
Oh, does it? I did go into the options. I don't think I saw that.
It was something like that. I don't remember specifically.
Yeah, so first thing that we did, I think you did the same exact thing, is you had to build your character.
Oh, yeah.
Surprising amount of customization in this game, which was surprising.
Yeah, I mean, with Lego, you would like to think that there would be a lot of customization because that's just what the core of Lego is.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting the car, though. Like, even though that's where like memories started to pop in of, oh, I think I may have played this game. But when I saw build car, I'm like, there's no way they're going to let you put pieces onto the car, right? And yeah, you just get to actually sit there and build your car.
I went with the quick build because using this interface to build something with a controller was just incredibly annoying to me.
It was very painful. I found myself having to like spin the camera around to get the positioning of the piece correct because I just could not do it in an isometric view.
Yeah, I played this game on PC as a kid, so it was very easy to build.
I bet.
Apparently, how you build your car impacts how it handles.
Wait, really?
But then I did more research and I was watching a YouTuber talk about the game and he ran tests. He like stacked up bricks on one side and it made no difference.
Wait. You can stack the things on top of each other?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought this was like you just put the one piece down and that's what you get to do. I didn't know they actually allowed you to stack.
Yeah, I think what he did was he just stacked a bunch on one side and then he just stacked it as high as he could to see if it was like a heavier control or something, but
yeah,
it didn't seem to make any clear difference. And this was another game, like we said earlier, where I made different, like I used the quick build and I tried different, cars and I thought it was slower, but that might have just been in my head.
Maybe. My whole thought behind this was it doesn't matter what you build and it doesn't matter what you do. It's just an aesthetic. And at the end of the day, every single car moves the exact same speed. Like you with the opponents and the boss, you all move the same.
I think that is true, but it's hard to just tell. Like without like literally testing everything, how would you know? And I was not doing that.
No, I get that. Yeah. And just like with your character, the amount of pieces to put onto the car was honestly way more than I would have expected. Like with the character, there's enough variety that are like, okay, this is common. For the car, the different packs of Legos you can like go through and really customize your car was actually amazing.
Yeah, and each circuit that you beat, if you come in first place, you unlock a new set of bricks to customize your car.
Yeah, it's whoever the boss is, you get their pack more or less.
Yeah. So just to jump into this, the controls are not very good.
I'm so glad you said that. This was so frustrating going from Chocobo to this. You started with this and then you went to Chocobo.
So starting with this, I was like, oh, it's not that bad. And then having to go back to it after Chocobo, I was like, oh no.
The best way I could describe this is it's very stiff. It's really hard to just smoothly control your car.
Sluggish.
There you go. Sluggish. That's a good word. I kind of hinted towards it in Chocobo with the frames and skipping and lagging, jittering. This game does it all too often. And I feel like it's more simplistic than Chocobo in everything.
Yeah, it does not feel good to play in any sense of the word.
No. It's so hard to like describe the feeling of steering this car. It's just something that people would have to do to understand what we're talking about.
It almost feels like you're using the heaviest character in another game all the time.
Yeah. Trying to make these micro turns and stuff is just so frustrating on itself. And it just feels like almost like there's no physics at all. It's just like, I don't know. I can't even explain how it feels to play this game. Just bad.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Just to get to it finally, you're going to want to be really specific about the power-ups because there's only one power-up in this game that fucking matters, and that is the boost.
So, a surprise to me, I always thought that the white bricks did one modifier. So you have your set of 4, and then there's the white, which gives you another set of 4. So you have 8 total. Didn't realize that you can then get 2 more white bricks on top of that. So now it opens it up to even more stuff you can get. So what does a green with 3 whites get you?
You go into this interdimensional tunnel and warp ahead of the front of the pack, usually. You just go significantly farther up the track.
It's like a built-in shortcut into the game. And you just blow away from everyone else.
So I remember doing this as a kid and just only focusing on that. But then when I was playing this originally, like I didn't realize or I didn't remember, I don't know. So as I was playing, I didn't think about it. And once you get a few circuits in, it starts to get really hard.
Yep. Where like the boss character is halfway around the map on the first lap and you're like, how did you get up there so fast?
So really the only way to win is to constantly only get the green and then just spam the warp as many times as you can during a race.
Mm-hmm. Which is frustrating when you can't get a green or you can't find the white piece or get to the white piece and you're holding on because you don't want to waste your white pieces and you're just hoping to find a green so you can warp ahead.
Yeah, so today I told you I played a little bit more and I did a race and I only got 1 warp the whole time because everybody in front of me would instantly grab the green.
Yep. The green is like the gold currency in this game where even the computer is always actively trying to get to the green.
Yeah, I mean, between the bad controls and like there really only being one power-up that matters, this game is just really frustrating to play, I would say.
It is. And well, okay, and aside from like there's no story, but there's circuit races. And you go through so many, each one has its own boss. And like Jimmy said, you have to get to first to get their Lego pack, but you can also get like second and you still go on to the next circuit. How far did you make it in the circuits?
I think I made it to the 4th one.
Okay.
The fifth one. I was on the 5th one when I stopped.
Okay, so we played to the same point because I made it up to the 5th one as well and I stopped. I played for a half hour the first night and honestly, I was done with this game by the second race. Not even the second circuit, by the second race, which is what, 5 minutes into the game?
Yeah.
If that. It just was so rageful. And like you said, it gets so much harder. So it's not until if you never discover that the green does the warp, it just is almost impossible to win this game.
So I got to circle 3 without, I think, circuit 3, without ever using the warp, I think. Like, I don't think I used it at all.
Same.
And then I just hit a wall where I'm just like, I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. Am I just like not good enough at this game?
Yeah, same thing. I fell into that same thing. And like I said, with the boss being halfway across the map already, I'm like, okay, I'm missing something because somehow he got up there without anyone seeing it.
Well, the exact opposite of Chocobo Racing here. Like, if you're in last place in this, it is nearly impossible to get first place
Good luck.
again.
Yeah.
Even with the warping sometimes, it's hard. If the boss is so far ahead of you, there's just nothing you can do.
On top of that, when you come outside of the warp, the developers really didn't care where it put you, because sometimes you'll come out of warp just slamming into a wall. So that boost you got, you're now wasting because you're now having backup and now move to get back onto the track.
Yeah, it's like just you instantly squandered what you had, but there's no way to control or do anything about it. So you just kind of do it and hope for the best.
Mm-hmm. And opposite of Chocobo, I feel like the effects of the cannon or the slick or pretty much any of those are very minimal to the point where they don't matter. You shoot someone with a cannon, they shoot up in the air, and if they're enough ahead of you, it doesn't matter. They're still ahead of you and you couldn't keep up or pass them.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, the only thing that matters is getting that boost. Nothing else matters. Like, you can get hit as many times as you want. I mean, it is a little annoying with like the whole getting bombarded with power-ups, especially when you're ahead, but it's nowhere near as bad as Chocobo was. But Chocobo was fun to play, so you wanted to get back to the front. With this, if I got destroyed by something or if I like messed up in any way and I was at the end, I'm like, I might as well just restart. Like, who cares?
Mm-hmm. I had the weirdest thing happen to me too. I think it was either Circuit 3 or 4, but I got fourth or fifth place, and the circuit ended. They're like, oh, sorry, you lose. I'm like, wait, what? There's still more races. I still have an opportunity to catch up. And they're like, nah, just start over.
I think that means there's like no way for you to get first.
Oh, okay. That would make sense then.
Just because like if you finish in like, I want to say 5th or 6th, you get 0 points after the race. So there would be no way for you to possibly come back, even if you got first every other time, because the boss is always going to get second no matter what.
Mm-hmm. So the strategy pretty much like with getting the white bricks, and they always have the white bricks in like these like hard to reach places. I would just always go out of my way. I'm like, I don't care. This is going to be worth it once I can get all 3 of them. And I'd just purposely let people pass me and get around me just so I can get those.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's not really, I feel like we're already almost coming to the end of talking about this game, but like, there's just nothing to it. Like, once you realize what you have to do, that is where your full attention should be. And there's no point of playing this game normally. There's no point in caring about anything else besides getting greens and getting whites. That's it.
And I feel like it's just a huge loss or miss. Like, they had so much opportunity to make this really cool. Like, when you said Lego racers, I had so much going on in my head of, we have Lego, we have racing. What crazy stuff can you do with Legos and racing? And at the end of the day, this is just such a basic racer that it almost feels like almost no effort was put into the game.
I know. And like, even at first I thought, oh, the track design's pretty good. Like, some nice variety. And then that just stops.
It does. It just feels the same. Like, there's one where I'm like, didn't we do this level already? It just seems like.
So they mirror them so you don't remember.
Oh, that makes sense. But here's my biggest gripe with it. It's a Lego. Why is the entire world not made out of Lego?
I hear you. I mean, I don't know if they could have done that and it would have looked good on the PS1.
That was where my mind was going with it too. But it's just like, it's just the weirdest thing to have these Lego cars and you have some Lego pieces on the map, but then you're just in the real world with dirt and stuff. It's so confusing.
That's fair. I mean, we didn't really get that until the more modern style Lego games where everything is actually Lego.
And it goes back to maybe they just didn't have the power to do it on the PlayStation, but it'd be cool to have a power up where you like do something and something builds out of Lego in front of a guy or something, and they can hit that pillar, or like taking what Lego is and making power ups based off of that.
Imagine if you hit them with a cannonball and a Lego came off their car.
Oh, that'd be cool. Like they lose a tire or something or a piece.
Just like some pieces off the back or something. Like that would be cool. And by the end, like maybe you don't have half your car left because you got hit a bunch of times.
Exactly. And maybe that actually does affect the speed and the handling of the car. So it's kind of like a demolition.
I
derby.
think we're getting crazy here. I think we're getting too crazy here. They couldn't have did that.
I went into this with high expectations because you have a lot of stuff you could do with this idea, and they did nothing pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, even down to the controls, there's just nothing really that good about this game. Like, I don't know. So you take the controls, and the fucking, like, drifting is the same as Chocobo, but it's way worse because you can't control it at all.
No, it's very tight. Like, you hit it and you're automatically, like, in the position you want to be in. And it's hard to get used to.
And the level design has all these sharp turns, which is just so frustrating. If you don't do the drifting exactly right, then you're smacking that wall, and the boss is going to be so far ahead of you because the bosses play these levels perfectly. Like, they are just the best AI to ever exist. So if you don't want to use the green bricks constantly, you just have to play absolutely perfectly.
And like we were talking about, they always go for the green. So the bosses are always getting the green with the 3. So they're just warping ahead of you anyways. And if you're right behind them, you now can't get the green bricks because they're taking them before you can even get there.
When I was playing a little bit more today, that's what happened to me. And I was just like, you know what? Fuck this. I had enough.
Yeah. I was only a half hour in, and I'm like, again, 5-7 minutes in, like I really don't want to do this. But I pushed and I pushed and I pushed just to get to like an hour. And we got to the same spot. I'm like, it was such a drain to get there.
I think what saved me is I played this first, so I didn't realize how bad it was until I had to go back to it, you know?
Yeah. And it's one of those things that we didn't know going into it. I think I just instinctively went to Chocobo first just because I don't know. For some reason, maybe just alphabetically, I went to that first.
I just think maybe I was excited to play this because I knew I played it a bunch as a kid and I just had that nostalgia for it. So I'm like, all right, this is going to be fun revisiting this game. Because, when you're a kid, especially like when it comes to PC gaming, like you don't have a lot of stuff.
Right.
Like I barely had any computer games as a kid. I had way more PS1 games. Mm-hmm. So I don't know the logic, but I guess for some reason I was just allowed to play on the computer a lot more than I was the PlayStation. So I played this game a lot. It's just not good.
It's not. And I mean, one thing they do is they have shortcuts on this game. Oddly enough, they didn't put a lot of effort in, but they somehow made shortcuts for some reason. I don't get why.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool little thing, but there's really no point. It doesn't even matter.
Oh, no, it doesn't. It's just weird that Chocobo didn't have them, but it was a good game. This is a bad game, but they're like, oh, let's put some effort into shortcuts.
Yeah, I feel like this game is just so close to being good. Like, it's like not that far away, but they stumble on almost every aspect. So at the end of the day, it just doesn't land for anything.
That was my thinking too, is like the concept is there, but they never went anywhere with the concept.
As far as I know, there wasn't any other Lego racing games until literally last year.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So I had a few other Lego games as a kid, actually, which were all on the PS1, so we will be playing them eventually. But after this era, they went into the whole modern Lego game that you think of where you're just like playing through a movie or something as Legos.
Yeah.
So they really focused on that. And I think recently there was a game called Lego 2K Drive. Not recently, I guess last year, but yeah. So that was the next time they made Lego racing.
Interesting. I wonder what a current Lego racer looks like and how that plays. Has to be better.
It actually looks very good. I have it downloaded because it was free one time. So I'll report back when I never play it.
Okay. One last thing that I have for a comparison is, unlike Chocobo, it's very easy to get the boost off the start on this one. I think I was nailing it every single time. It's weird how they do these things that shouldn't put a lot of focus in. They do that right. And the core game, they didn't do right.
Yeah, I also got the boost almost every time, and you sure as hell need it.
Oh, yeah. But whenever the boss is right beside you because he also got the boost, it's like, well, I'm just fighting for my life here, trying to get first place.
Yeah. Good thing we did this game second. If we would have did this first, we would have been done in 10 minutes probably. Straight up, the only real thing this game does well is the customization.
I would agree.
Like, all that stuff is cool, but you don't have the game to back it up.
But even the customization is frustrating when you're trying to get pieces exactly where you want them to be.
That, and it's just purely cosmetic.
It is. I can see the hype around it of, oh, I get to make my car look exactly how I want it to look, and I get these pieces and I can unlock new pieces that now customize my car even more. I get it, but when it's frustrating to put the pieces down, it's almost like what you said. I just put some pieces down that would fit and I moved on. I didn't care about how it looked because of it.
Yeah, I'm sure like as a kid we would have had more tolerance to that because that was the only way we knew.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like just there's no way in hell I'm going to spend time using that system to build a car.
Yeah,
Like I said, if I was on PC using a mouse, like that's different. But this, no way.
I agree.
But yeah, with that, let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of reviews and so we can stop talking about this game.
The shortest game we've ever covered.
Yeah, I just feel like we covered all like what is good and bad about a kart racer with Chocobo. So now we're just kind of saying like, this game does this bad. This game does this bad. So like we don't need to like fundamentally talk about what the game is because we already did that.
Yeah, I get that.
So Lego Racers got mostly negative scores.
No surprise.
Your favorite German magazine Video Games gave it a 42 out of 100. And they said, if this product had come onto the market 4 years ago, it could at least have been described as innovative. So the bottom line is that this is nothing more than another bad licensed product. The only difference being that it's not just any film, but a toy.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree. Being on the PlayStation, I think if it came out sooner, earlier, it would be good, but just not the time for this.
Yeah, I mean, if this game came out right when the PS1 came out and there was no other kart racers, I'd be like, yeah, you know, it's an early PS1 game. I get it. But to come out the same year as Crash Team Racing in the same year as Chocobo,
Mm-hmm.
you're out of your fucking mind if you think I'm buying this game. I guess I did buy it, but all right.
Yeah, not to mention how angry you'd be. Well, I get, like you said, we're looking at it as a perspective now. As a kid, I think we would have fun with this, but to think about wasting your money on a game like this is frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely played way more Mario Kart and way more Crash Team Racing. Like, I probably played this with my quote unquote computer time as a kid, but when it came to video game time, I was playing the real shit.
Right.
IGN gave it a 6 out of 10, and they said, Lego Racers graphics are not great. The game is best classified as a kart racer, so must be judged by its racing peers. When held up against Naughty Dog's Crash Team Racing, Lego Racers just falls apart. It lacks the slick level designs or polished graphics, and with the exception of the great weapon system, lacks any real innovation. I don't get that last part, but whatever.
Yeah, we've covered that enough. We're just repeating ourselves to complain about the weapons, but
Yeah,
putting this side by side next to Crash Team Racing is insanity.
setting yourself up to be disappointed if you think this comes anywhere close to that.
Not for the fun part.
It's funny, I actually wrote down a higher score that I'm going to give it now. So I originally wrote down 4.5 to 5.
Wow. Okay.
And I think about how we had nothing really positive to say about this. And I think about my experience going back to it after my initial playtime and just really seeing it for what it is and how shitty it is and how bad it controls. And like Chocobo is not that amazing of a game. Like it's no Mario Kart, it's no Crash Team Racing. But compared to this, that shit's a masterpiece.
100% agree.
So I'm going to go with a 4.
Okay. I didn't have a range on this one. I had one set number and the conversation went as planned and that number hasn't changed. And I'm going with a 3.5.
Damn, that's brutal.
I don't know. I think just like you said, playing it, comparing it to Chocobo, it's so hard to find any positives in this game. It's like a developer put the most minimal effort into this, and they probably didn't. I mean, they probably did work hard on it, but it just feels like there's no effort. And when your only objective is to collect the green with the white blocks, there's no game there. Like there's no strategy.
Just constant. Like it wouldn't be fun even with friends at all.
Also, we didn't bring this up too, but you're not allowed to move on to the next race until every racer finishes, which was beyond annoying.
Yeah, that is a little frustrating. But I was so annoyed with everything else. I didn't even think about that.
So with that, we don't have a tie this time. We're sitting at number 37 with Lego Racers being at 3.75, sitting right above Cool Borders. That's appropriate, I think. Cool Borders 1, sorry, not the second one.
Yeah, right between that and Star Wars Dark Forces, I can agree with that.
That's why you saying 4, I'm like, okay, 3.5 isn't too harsh. It's putting it right in the position it needs to be, which is towards the bottom.
Imagine if I was like, I'm going to go with a 6.
I was scared going into this one of what you might do. So luckily you had the same experiences as me, and I was pretty confident towards the end. I'm waiting for the game we get down to like a 1 or a 2. I want to experience that on this show.
What I'm more excited about is when I'm going to give a game a 7 and you're going to give a game a 3 or something. Like where it's just so drastically different that I think that would be an interesting discussion.
Going into the show, that was our whole premise. Like, we're going to finish up, we're going to do our ranking, and we'll argue about our rankings, and we're going to like make each other convinced of we're right. I'm like, cool, that sounds like a good idea. The arguing will be really fun. We've agreed with every single game up until this point. So
yeah, we're pretty much on the same page the entire time. Like I thought maybe Armored Core was going to be the one.
And yeah, I mean, it kind of was. I just played the game wrong. So
yeah, I mean, it's not like if you would have played it the way that I did, then you would have probably had a better time.
Yes.
So like you acknowledge that, but there's got to be a game that like one of us just absolutely despises, but the other one's like, I fucking love it. It's got to happen, right?
With the thousands of games we're going to be playing, it has to happen at least like 5 times.
Yeah, and also once we get to a game that's a 1 or a 2, you're going to regret saying those words.
Oh, I know. I fully expect it, but I already have an idea of what those games will be when we get to them. But it'll be more entertaining when we're just nonstop. Like we typically shit on games, but I feel like for the 1 or 2s, like you thought Expendables was a bad episode of us just nonstop trash talking. This would be even worse.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually our episode with the lowest plays because, like, not even just it being a bad game, people just don't care about it.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not even the kind of bad game that's, like, funny to listen to. It's just no one gives a shit at all.
Yep.
Which I can't blame you. I don't give a shit about that game either.
Which I was surprised. I honestly thought that episode was going to do at least a little bit more numbers because from my research, there is a community for this game.
Fair, but I don't know. We'll see. I think a lot of the bottom tier stuff is going to be like something we've truly never heard of, and it's just some random shovelware or something.
Yeah, I can see that.
But all right, that's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for watching or listening. If you enjoyed this, please remember to like and subscribe as well as give us a rating on podcast services. We'll see you next week.